Hello, everybody, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am the TheOutbackAl.
I'm NV Jitters.
I'm CheerandCosplay.
And I'm Kozi.
Very small group today, so no one's really ever sure who to say is who and what whenever it all goes down. But that doesn't matter, because we're here today to talk about movies. We're here today to talk about live-action anime adaptations from America. Things.
You may have hoped it was over because last week you got a break, but no.
We told them it was coming back. We tell them every time. So, this week, 1995's Fist of the North Star, which was, unlike The Guyver, is an actual straight-to-video movie, and it definitely shows. What did you guys think of this one?
Trash. It's trash.
I'm gonna be completely 100% honest. This was the first thing of Fist of the North Star I've ever seen or experienced. My experience of Fist of the North Star is the main character's name and the "you are already dead" meme.
Yeah, same.
I am aware of it mostly through like Wikipedia and osmosis, as I'm aware of the majority of things in my life. So I was a little bit more aware of like the basics of the plot. But yeah, this was kind of the first time I've watched something like of the property. Kind of like that was my first time with The Guyver 2 weeks ago.
I guess I can say this, for a movie that was probably not with the highest budget in the world, I think the sets were decent and, the effects were okay, but I have a funny feeling that, and while I feel like it kind of does the surface level of what Fist of the North Star is about, I have a funny feeling that the actual show, especially Kenshiro, is a lot better done.
I'd imagine so. This is definitely like a TV movie kind of deal, it feels like, and yeah, it kind of shows. I mean, I think you're right. I think like they did actually get actors who are pretty experienced stuntmen and like know how to fight and that. I know at least the I should pull up their names. I know Greg Daniels for Kenshiro and Shin, who was, I have trouble with his name. Hang on. Oh.
They both look alike.
They look a lot alike, yes.
At one point, Kozi said, "Is that the same actor playing both those guys?"
No, yeah.
I had to IMDb it.
Yeah,
right
Costas Mandalore.
Apparently, the guy who played
Gary
Kenshiro
Daniels.
wasn't even
Gary
an actor.
Daniels. Gary Daniels is the guy who played Kenshiro, not Greg Daniels. I want to get his name
excuse
right.
me. Well, apparently that guy who played Kenshiro, he wasn't even an actor. He just kind of was like a wrestler, I want to say, or a boxer, one of the two.
I don't think any of them were really actors. I do think they were more stuntsmen. Because
Dante Bosco wasn't.
There were a number of actors in this movie, but yeah, like the two, the main protagonist and antagonist are better known for like stunt work than anything else. But yeah, they got some like actual pretty good people in these. They got like Malcolm McDowell and Chris Penn, and
it did not show.
Hey, you know what?
It did not show.
If you know some of their other work, you know that they're like a lot of times will be character actors who are like will be in just about anything, and this is just about anything.
Hey, Al.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think I don't like action movies.
Okay.
Okay, you haven't seen the right action movies. Do you like Terminator 2?
Yeah.
I think we can say not necessarily action, but this really weird martial art genre from the past two movies, definitely no.
Yeah,
Maybe I just don't like movies.
I would hope not. We're going to try to start a podcast where we just go back and watch movies so you guys can understand the references that I make. Speaking of those things, I do want to say, like, not last week, 2 weeks ago when we did The Guyver, we were saying this is one of the most 90s movies we've ever seen. And I think in a very different way, this is also one of the most 90s movies I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of 90s.
I feel like it gave more 80s vibes.
Yeah, you would think, but not really. Like, some of the humor in that from the Guyver actually felt a little bit more 80s to me. This is actually far more of like a 90s martial arts action movie that kind of started to have a little bit more of a rise after like Schwarzenegger and Stallone had been around for a while. There was like those action movies are always like really big buff guys who just like throw people around or like shoot big guns or something. And then as you started to get into the late 80s and early 90s, you had more action movies with guys who weren't as big, but like were actual martial artists. Like that's where you start to see more Jackie Chan movies, Jean-Claude Van Damme, or Steven Seagal to some degree. You start to have those guys who they're focused a little more on like how they fight as opposed to just being jacked. And this is kind of a little more in that genre, I think. So, yeah. I feel like at some point we should go over the plot of this. Essentially,
what little there is.
Essentially, it's Mad Max meets I don't know, pick a Bruce Lee movie.
Well, I will say this. After watching this movie, I did a little bit of research on the actual Fist of the North Star story. They essentially covered a speed run of like the first part of the first arc of the manga/anime. Although they definitely changed some things up.
Yeah, kind of, but not really.
I mean, they changed the villain's name, for one.
No, Shin was a villain. He was a thing in the series. I don't know if he was there for the first arc or not, but he is a thing.
No, he is named Rao.
Rao? There is a character.
The villain that Shin plays in this movie is what Rao is supposed to be.
Okay, so they've switched around the characters that end up being where they are. Okay.
One of the things is more, it wasn't so much like a political war type deal in the source material.
I don't know that there's much politics to this.
They were fighting over like the technique and the leadership of the school.
I think you're thinking of Ken and his brother, who is not in this.
I mean, there was a little bit of both, obviously.
That's what it was supposed to be covering.
All right, well, yeah, they decided to instead go with Shin, who was in love with Julia. Or Yuria, I think, from the original. I don't know that this was, like, very political. It was more of just, like, we're strong, you're not, and we have the power. Kind of just like Mad Max.
It was supposed to be a political thing. Like, they changed the schools into political factions.
I did not get that sense. It just seemed to me like there was a nuclear war, everything went to shit, and then the people with the most, like, ability to hurt other people took power.
Yes, you would not get that sense because it wasn't well written or delivered.
Is what it is. Malcolm McDowell's there doing his little exposition thing and possessing little girls.
I think the biggest problem with the movie for me was that I got a decent enough sense of, like, okay, nuclear apocalypse, world turned to shit, stuff like that. Trying to, one party taking over, trying to rebuild the world. But I guess my biggest thing is that I'm sure they explain this a lot better in the manga and anime, but, like, you had Kenshiro, who was the last of the North Star clan, then you have Shin, that's the part of the Southern Cross clan, and apparently, they were two schools that never allowed to fight, but yet clearly have a history with each other, but it's almost like it was like the surface level, just like a few lines of dialogue, and that was it. Like, you never really got a sense of what was driving both of their schools to be against each other in a certain way.
No, but that's like something that you'd have to have a much larger series to kind of like explore like the philosophies behind their schools and the different kind of stuff that they do. And this is like what, an hour and 30 minutes, just like it's let's beat 'em up action head explode movie.
I'm gonna be completely honest too. I don't know if this was like this in the original source material, but I definitely got a lot of Cowboy Bebop vibes from the love triangle. I don't know what?
I said that. I said that to Yin.
It was not supposed to be a love triangle.
Okay, then
I don't think it is a love triangle. I don't think it's a love triangle at all. She has no interest in the man.
Well, it's okay. Let me rephrase that. It's kind of like what Cowboy Bebop,
it's essentially what they made the live action. We should be specific. It's the live action Cowboy Bebop because the real Cowboy Bebop does not have this garbage plot.
Did Shin even want Julia, or did he just want whatever Ken wanted, so he couldn't have it.
So in this, they did make it that he wanted her.
I say 6 of one, half dozen
I think
of the
that
other.
might have been one of the things you missed. There's a scene where he's torturing.
You missed him getting his North Star scars?
Yes.
What?
Is that when he was like poking holes in his chest?
Yeah.
No, I saw that.
Yeah.
Where he's like, say you love me and I'll stop.
Yeah, I thought that was just kind of like, I'm taking your bitch.
It's a little bit of both, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like in this version of the stories, he actually did covet her, but again, they did no backstory at all. It's just one scene, he is, saying, "You are my queen," and then flashback, "I'm taking your woman," basically.
Yeah.
Stealing your beach.
I don't know. I think they were trying to make the plot as simple as possible so that, like, anyone could watch it, but, like, if you were a fan of Fist of the North Star, you'd probably understand what was going on. So it's kind of this weird, like, in-between of, like, oh, this is for the fans. It's also not for the fans.
I mean, I think we've kind of indicated this, but Kozi, you're kind of familiar with the source material, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Have you read the manga or watched the old anime back in the day?
Yeah.
What?
I did see the old anime where Julia was a redhead.
Eh.
And her name was Yulia.
I think it's just, like, Americanization kind of thing.
I will say, it felt a little racist that the only character who was supposed to be non-Asian, which was Julia, in the actual source material became, like, one of the only Asian characters in the one that was, like, a caricature of an Asian woman. Like, they had her lay on that accent thick.
I don't know that she's intentionally doing that. She is from Japan. Like, that just might be how she talks.
I don't know. It
This
just felt
might
a little
be
racist.
it might be a situation of, like, I forget her name from the last movie. Miski, yeah. Where she just, like, English probably wasn't her first language. I mean, I kind of question whether English is the first language of Ken and Shin, quite frankly, but, like, it's supposed to be. Like, I don't know.
Okay. We're getting sidetracked.
Plot. Do we have to talk more plot? It's an action beat 'em up. There's a wandering dude in the desert. He is running from his destiny, as Malcolm McDowell so clearly states a bunch of times in the movie. He comes across a town of, it's a western essentially. He comes across a town of people who need his help. He says no. They get killed. He comes back. He goes and fights the big bad guy at the end and saves the day.
Yay.
And there's a lot of punching and kicking along the way.
Yep.
The very beginning, was that Ken's dad?
Malcolm
His
McDowell?
adopted dad.
Yeah. He's his master kind of deal.
Okay, Dad and his enemy, like, they were making eyes at each other before they fought. Like,
I'm gonna be real. Shin's
Not
making
to be
eyes
a-
at every person in this movie. Like,
not
I
to be
don't.
one of those girls, but, like, I thought they were gonna make out for a minute there.
I have a feeling Shin would like to make out with half the people here. I mean, I see what you're saying a little bit. I don't. Again, this is one of those things where, like, I don't know that they were, like, that good of actors. So they were just like, I have to look at people with intensity. Okay, you just look like you want to bang.
Yeah.
And the Fabio hair is not helping.
And I have a funny feeling that they pretty much just got, like, Malcolm McDowell as, like, a last-minute addition for, like, some pickup lines and scenes. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
we got a high-class American actor. Okay, come American
He's
audiences,
British.
watch it.
I was a very big fan of his silk bathrobe.
Hey, the man knows how to be comfortable on set. You got to give him
Wow,
that.
I didn't
Malcolm-
realize he was British, but
Yeah,
you get what I'm
he's
a famous
extremely
actor.
British.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk about the characters of what little there is? And, like, I kind of just want to talk more about the actors involved because there's, like, a bunch of people in this movie.
Okay, yeah, you're really excited about Dante being in here.
Well, I just realized that was him. I Dante Bosco, obviously I knew as Zuko, and then if you go old school, he was in Hook, so I was like,
What
oh,
about
I know
American
that guy.
Dragon?
I never saw that.
What? Add it to the list.
You have the list.
Yeah.
I thought the list was publicly sourced at this point.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, you got Dante Bosco playing the sidekick comic relief character, Bat. I kind of almost want to talk about some other people a little bit more. The guy who's just going for it the most is Clint Howard, Ron Howard's brother. If you've watched any Ron Howard movies, you've definitely seen him make cameos. He plays Stalin, the guy on the motorcycle, constantly shooting at people. He was having a time and a half. And me and Yin have been debating this. There was one point like where he first shows up when the first raid on the town happens. And he's just kind of driving around shooting at people and like, yeah, woo, or whatever. Yin says he said, "Oh, baby," and shoots. I thought he said, "Oh, a baby," and then shot the baby. I'm like, that
knowing
is so
what happened,
unnecessarily dark, but kind of hilarious for just watching.
Knowing what happens to that village at the halfway point in the movie, it wouldn't be surprising.
I'm still convinced he like just straight up shot a baby.
Who was the guy that played? Who was the guy that? I forget the character's name, but he was the guy that had to keep the bandages on his face to keep his head from exploding.
Jackal.
He did a good job.
He was honestly the best performance in the movie, if I'm being honest.
That is Chris Penn, who is Sean Penn's brother. He is another character actor who's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in, I know he was like in Footloose with Kevin Bacon. He was in Reservoir Dogs, Rush Hour. He's like played a lot of like characters, like tough guy characters and a bunch of things in a bunch of different movies for a number of years. He died in 2006, unfortunately. But he was always very good in anything you put him in. Who else? Oh my God. There's the only other guy I kind of recognized was George Chung, who was Neville, the guy who was like trying to say we should negotiate with them. He's another like character actor who's just like in the background of like 100 movies. So, like, you only really recognize him if, like, you're, like, kind of looking for him, but, like, yeah.
So, basically, you were IMDbing half of this movie's cast.
More or less. What year did Kill Bill come out?
Kill Bill was 2000... Volume 1, I think, was 2003.
Okay. So, Kill Bill stole their fashion aesthetic from Dante Bosco.
No. Kill Bill stole their fashion from Enter the Dragon. Kill Bill stole a lot of things. I could go into a whole thing of like all the things.
Enter the Dragon come out?
Enter the Dragon came out in the 70s.
Okay. I'm like, I recognize those yellow pants.
the Bruce Lee wears a whole yellow like ensemble. That's where you're thinking of the Crazy 88 fight. That whole movie is like a loose remake of like I forget what it's called. Something like Crane Mother or something like that. Hey guys, OutbackAl here. I wanted to pause real quick, just take a second to make some corrections here. I said that it was Enter the Dragon that Bruce Lee wore the yellow jumpsuit thing. It was actually in Game of Death from 1972, and I also said that the Kill Bill was inspired by Crane Mother. Not a thing at all. The main plot actually comes from a 1968 French film called The Bride Wore Black, and a lot of the martial arts elements were inspired by the 70s martial arts action movie Lady Snowblood, who is more or less the inspiration for Lucy Liu's character and the leader of the Crazy 88. So just wanted to make that note real quick. Back to the episode. Anyway, this movie. Yeah, a whole bunch of people. I want to give out one shout out. I haven't seen them in a whole lot of stuff, but I love their name. This was kind of like Screaming Mad George from The Guyver. Downtown Julie Brown, who was the one lady at the village. She was the engineer that they took hostage. Great name.
Yes. I will say the names in the movie were very fun. I was reading Cece the credits as they were rolling because they were out of the room. I'm just like, what are half of these names?
Hey, some of them are really fun.
I liked the name Bat. If I didn't have a name, I would probably take that name. That's a cool name.
You just want to be Bat?
Bat.
Bat isn't like baseball bat.
No. The ringed Ooh, my tongue just stopped working.
Oh dear.
The Fluttermouse.
Yes, no, but his name was in reference to like a baseball bat.
Was it? I couldn't tell. I want to give a shout out to another person with a cool name. It was Goliath, the really, really big guy that they had shaking the little girl's cage. He was a professional wrestler by the name of Big Van Vader.
Big Van Vader.
Yep. Professional wrestler and football player.
Oh.
I want to give a shout out to whoever was on costuming that decided scars were gonna be buttons. Interesting choice.
Yeah, that was fun. I want to give like some credit to some of the special effects people, especially early in the movie. Like that first time when Ken fights, he just like kicks through a door and destroys a man's face, and then punches his spine through his chest, I have to assume. And then another guy, the head exploding thing.
Special versus practical.
I just call it special effects. Like before you had like CG, it was still called special effects.
Yeah.
Now we kind of make the distinction of practical effects. But yeah, this was the 90s. It was all practical effects, and it's kind of fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, like a lot of like their wounds and stuff, and like the obviously like the dysmorphing of like body parts. Like that was really well done.
Oh yeah. The stuff with Shin whenever he hits you with his like fire hands, I don't even know exactly what's going on there, and like your veins just start bursting out of your chest. Like there was a lot of love put into this stuff.
That was supposed to be the Fist of the North Star, the technique that they were supposed to be fighting over.
But he's from Southern Cross. Fist of the North Star is the special technique that makes your head explode.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? But
No,
Ken
but
already
like,
has Fist of the North Star. He makes people's heads explode.
That was supposed to be part of it.
So you have body explode and head explode.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to Jackal for being like, if I duct tape my head together, it won't explode.
Points
Duct
to him
tape
for
fixes
doing
everything.
it like so fast too, because we saw the first guy in the beginning of the movie. He gets like head exploded, and it happens in like 10 seconds. He had to be like on the spot with some duct tape.
The meme is literally, you're already dead.
Yeah, so points to him.
So like he literally, he's like, oh shit, and like right there on the spot wrapped it up.
Yeah, honestly, like as far as like, you know, you have like in movies you have your big bad and then you're like your lead henchman. He is a kick-ass lead henchman. I'd probably put him somewhere up there with like Carl from Die Hard. He's like very like there throughout the whole movie and really making his presence known. Actually, honestly, I think he probably did the best acting job in the entire movie.
I mean, that's what I said
feel
earlier.
like he was more antagonistic than Shin.
Yeah. Shin's just kind of like sitting up in his like ivory tower, just kind of like, I will rule the world. And like then you have Jackal actually out there like doing the job.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a little more impressive. Actually, I honestly think that might be why part of the reason Chris Penn did so well, that he actually has more like with his role. It's like got a little more like stuff to play with. I want to say like the fight scenes as well. We were talking about the practical effects in that with some of the injuries in that, which are pretty good. I think the fight scenes are also, for the most part, choreographed pretty well. They get a little... I think they're a little lazy with that hallway or the lobby fight.
Cheesy.
They were cheesy, but they're still like... Here, part of the thing is like, you can actually see them. I don't know if you like watch like modern action movies, like an Avengers movie or something, but if anyone's in a fist fight, you don't really see anyone getting hit. Like they cut on impact a lot. They do this. I mean,
they call it shaky cam for a reason.
So
well, no,
I think
beyond shaky cam, like what you have is like people who don't necessarily have a lot of experience, really like stunt fighting or fighting in general, and you see how fast a lot of the edits go, and it's like you can tell from how fast they're editing a lot of them that these people don't actually know how to fight, and the camera has to hide it. These people are like, let's do a long take. We're going to stay on the fighters because they actually know what they're doing. That's actually like, I remember like watching an interview with Jackie Chan, and he's actually like, yeah, no, I don't like how Americans edit movies because you can't see any of the fight.
Okay, so this may actually be like, I'm not usually a fan of martial arts movies, but I feel like this one didn't feel like they were fighting. Like in a lot of the like more well-known films, like, it feels like a fight. It feels like they're being hit. But in this one, it really did just feel choreographed.
It is, absolutely.
Like,
this is not
I'm gonna disagree with you on, like, them looking like they were being hit. Like,
I'm
it
not
very
saying
much
they're
looked
looking like they're being
fake
hit.
Fighting.
I'm not. You're right, and there's a lot of shots that are whiffed in this. But I'm saying these people, I can tell, at least know how to fight, unlike a lot of some other actors in a lot of other modern action films where they have to cut around the fact that these people don't know what they're doing. Like,
I guess you could I guess you can say, like, at least for the final fight, it was two people that were masters of their own craft, and they're gonna at least use their techniques and to their fullest extent. And yeah, obviously, if it's like a fight to the death, obviously it could be a little bit more raw. You're not obviously gonna follow the exact principles. They even teach you that in martial arts, fight to win. But at the same time, I guess it was kind of like dramatic, cliffhanger, not cliffhanger, but climax, type of fight.
I think, like, if they had a little bit of a better budget, they probably could have made some of these fight scenes look a little more, like, impactful and damaging. Again, outside of the first one, I think the first one where he, like, again, busts that guy's jaw apart, snaps a man's spine, and then makes a man's head explode. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm buying this, at least. I think the lobby fight is probably the one where it feels the most, like, choreographed. They got a bit of that slow-mo thing going on that's kind of like, yeah, we're slowing this down because this is a very long take, and it's, yeah, I feel like...
I'll be honest, that was probably my favorite part of the movie. Because of how ridiculous it was.
It was.
It's just like more like there, and then there's more, and then there's more, and then there's more. Let's continue to fight one at a time instead of all ganging up on him at once. And then there's more.
I got a couple.
Hey, they may be villains, but they have a set of rules.
No, that is absolutely a rule that was in every, like, 90s action martial arts film. It's like, you only fight one at a time.
That's not
it's
fair.
Like, line up.
10 on 1.
That's fun.
Do you think they have to, like, organize what order they go in? Like, is there, like, a batting lineup?
Oh yeah, there's absolutely there is. It's off camera. Like, there's a whole. They have to, like, so no one gets hurt. They have to make sure they know everything's going on.
Not the actors. The characters, not the actors.
It's my turn to fight the intruder.
To some degree, I have to assume it's like they might have been, like, guards, but they were, like, set up, like, at intervals along the halls and that.
Do you think towards the end, like, they were, like, very much feeling Ken isn't trapped in here with us. We're trapped in here with him. I don't want to fight anymore.
I almost feel like they put the lowest on the totem pole at the bottom, and then the higher you go up, the supposed higher the rest is.
Mm-hmm. The one guy who was, like, lighting things on fire and had, like, the weird, like, cracks on his face, who was, like, kind of nice to the little girl. Do you remember him?
Yeah. The one that got sniped by Jackal.
Yeah, but he was, like, he took off his weapons. He was like, I'm not fighting you. I've seen what you've done. I'm done. And then Jackal kind of kills him by accident. Because I think Dante Bosco smacked him. Threw off his shot.
So I do want to go back to, like, that final fight.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think I enjoyed that one the most because when they were cutting it back and forth between Ken and Julia, I feel like that was really well done. But also, costuming, man. What was the costuming in this? What the fuck was Shin wearing?
I was wondering that too. It's like, why didn't he just go shirtless? You know what? If he gone shirtless, it would have been hard to tell the two of them apart. I think that's probably why. One of them needed to wear, like,
a rectangle.
You know what? It actually reminded me. It reminded me of Polnareff.
Yeah.
Worse.
Like, it's like a tan Polnareff shirt where it's like a tube top, but also not.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
I'm like, it was a good fight sequence, but every time, like, he moved, I was just like,
you're gonna pop out of that thing.
And it was like, I feel like it was shiny. Was it shiny,
Oh, it
or
was-
am I
it
making
was-
that up?
His whole costume was kind of shiny because he was supposed to. I think like the idea was he was supposed to look like clean and like way more pristine than anyone else in the movie because he was like at the top of everything. So yeah, he's got a bit of a sheen to him. I was actually a little disappointed he didn't get his head exploded. That really felt like, because like, I don't know, maybe this is just a rule of 3 thing for me, but it's like you got the first guy's head to explode at the beginning, and then you have Chris Penn's head like on the verge of exploding throughout most of the movie until the gear thing, which was that was a good scene too. We should talk about that at some point. I was really waiting for Shin to get his head popped, but
Nope, he just
Didn't
dies
do
by
it.
random punch at the end.
yeah, I kind of wanted him to do the whole Fist of the North Star thing, and then his whole upper body explodes. That would have been cool. That would have been a really good note to end on.
I don't know what this movie was rated, but I think that would have pushed it to an R rating if it was an R.
Probably. Now that I think about it, we don't actually see anyone's head explode. We just see it bubble. So, I mean, if it's like direct-to-DVD, I'm assuming at worst it's PG-13.
Wait, was this directed to video or was this actually in theaters?
This was direct-to-video. This was not in theaters. This is like TV budget, direct-to-video. Let's make some couple bucks off of like the action movie craze and Blockbuster that's going around right now.
Was anyone else also weirded out? Like one of those like little nitpicky things, like the dad possessing random people, but then possessing the little girl. Like,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing from Fist of the North Star. I don't know what was going on there. I didn't question it at a certain point.
Or just the random scene where Kenshiro goes to talk to his dad. I'm thinking, oh, he's going to talk
He
to the
becomes a
spirit medium. No, his dad comes back as a fucking zombie.
He comes back
Oh.
as a physical zombie, and then you know what? Was that a dream? Was that just a dream?
and then at the end of it, like how they ended it with that one poorly transition into like a very obviously illustrated sky. Like, what was that?
I don't know. There was a couple of decisions where it's like, I think to some degree maybe the writers were just like, okay, we have these action scenes, and we just need ways of getting Ken from one to another. And like, just okay, maybe the ghost of his father or something. We'll do some like Star Wars shit. Like, I really don't know.
I also feel like you would probably know this too, Kozi, since you're more familiar with this. I almost feel like they kind of, in a way, ruined Kenshiro's character originally because I don't think he was that, whiny or abandonment of his responsibility.
So he's supposed to be like this buff, badass, leather daddy type martial artist.
Yeah, he was a Joe Bro before Joe Bro. Or he was a
like-
JoJo before JoJo.
I feel like the image in my head is a very stoic character.
No, he was a
incorrect?
bit of an asshole. Like,
Okay.
I would assume like Jotaro, honestly, because I feel like you guys have said Jotaro's an asshole.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Hard yes.
Yeah, so basically Jotaro.
I will throw this out there. Death Battle proved that Kenshiro kicked Jotaro's ass.
I have my issues with that fight. But
Oh, I'm sure you do, but, the science is the science.
Would a stand be cheating?
I think he used the stand in the fight.
yeah,
I
no,
also
they did.
like I don't JoJo, so I don't know what his stand does.
It's essentially
Big punch real fast.
big punch real fast.
And then later he
and-
learns to
yeah.
stop time for 10 seconds.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah, that's the
basically,
thing.
basically his stand is Kenshiro.
I'm like, if you have to go through essentially 2 opponents, or like is damage to the stand damage to the user?
Both.
I think if you
Yes.
do damage to a stand with a stand, it's damage to the user, but I might be wrong. That's at least how it was
Yeah.
in the part 3 that I watched that we did from the 90s.
Yeah, if you damage a stand, you damage the user.
Yeah.
Okay, so like if he had to fight 2 people, essentially like, ooh, he might be a little
But all he has to
I
do is
mean-
make one of their heads pop.
Yeah.
And also, Jotaro, he can fist fight, but obviously he'd be using Star Platinum most of the time because,
Yeah.
Blind
like,
God.
Kenshiro is, he's like a, yeah.
Is Jotaro likely to pull a separate weapon I could see him pulling a gun.
I don't
No.
know.
I don't think so.
Bring a gun to a fist fight.
No, he'll probably, if anything, he'll use a dolphin.
I'm going to throw this out there because I was kind of wondering this. There are
Acid dolphin.
guns in this movie, and no one seems to want to use them in a fight with Kenshiro. When, like, at the very beginning of the movie, the original Fist of the North Star, Malcolm McDowell, just gets shot.
Yeah.
Like,
And when they're raiding the town, they're using guns.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if Shin really wanted to kill Kenshiro, why does he just do that again?
No, his abs would deflect it.
Okay, they did not establish that at all. If they established that, I would be like, okay, awesome. That would have been a cool scene to, like, just see bullets bounce off the dude.
That little bedsheet cloak he had in the beginning obviously is like that, is it? Not MacGyver. Is it a MacGyver?
Are you thinking of Guyver? MacGyver is a TV show from the 80s.
When you have like that one item that's like too OP that
MacGuffin?
pushes.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Isn't that little doctor girl on Disney Channel? On Disney
That's
Junior?
McStuffins.
Yes, MacGuffin. Yes, I am thinking of a MacGuffin. Thank you.
I don't know. I just thought it was acid rain proof.
Anyways, it's basically a MacGuffin. He would just use that to deflect the bullets.
If you say so.
If it can deflect acid, come on.
Okay, there's a difference between having, like, something that is acid-proof and something that is bulletproof. There are plenty of things that are acid-proof in this world that you can, like, treat to be resistant to, like, high pH levels. But, like, bulletproof is a bit of a different story.
It was a scraggly little bed sheet.
I mean, I'm
pH balance is
just sticking you guys around. I don't know why they didn't use guns. I'm just.
I mean, to some degree, you, like, have to look at the post-apocalypse kind of thing. Like, part of it is they're a resource, and you could make the argument of, like, oh, they want to save certain amounts of bullets or something for certain things, but they really don't, because they don't act like that at all. Clint Howard is just driving around shooting babies all over the place. So
Okay, but the thing is Ken is supposed to be like the only possible person that could unseat Shin once he finds out he's still alive.
yeah, so, like, why not shoot? You know what? I'm gonna give points to Jackal again. He thought to shoot Kenshiro. It just so
Yeah.
happened that Dante Bosco ruined his shot.
Oh, killing the kid. -100.
Wait, which kid died?
Bat.
That
Bat, right.
lives and goes on to the sequels.
I call him a teenager
He
more than
becomes a
anything.
companion fighter.
I was gonna say, don't both of the kids in the original, go through Kenshiro throughout the entire journey?
Yeah, they're like companions. The rule of 3 or whatever.
This is sounding a lot like Guts from Berserk now. To be fair, wasn't he also coming out around the same time, too?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
well, when did the Berserk manga start? I thought that was like
I
early
want to say the
90s.
80s.
Oh.
Might have to double check that, but yeah.
Yeah, which one's based off of what?
Okay, I think Berserk is kind of its own thing. But,
Berserk is so many things, though.
Yes, it is.
Okay, which one came first, JoJo or this?
Oh, Fist of the North
This-
Star. Fist of the North Star came in
first.
83. JoJo came in 87.
And if we're
Oh.
counting it, then Berserk came out in 88. At least as far as big, muscly protagonists who live through hellish times kind of deal.
I'm trying
So-
to think of another one, but I
But
got
yeah,
nothing.
anyways, uselessly killing off the kid just for like cheap emotional like kicks.
Here's
Fuck
the thing.
you.
What you weren't going to get a sequel to this. So, like, the necessity of having him around for a sequel is like zero.
But like his death had literal like not even like emotional impact. Like they didn't even really address it after they killed him off. There's one shot of the girl crying and then they're like, haha, off we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I like
vengeance
there's
time.
conveniently a woman there that's just like, oh, I'm going to care for this child now.
I think
well,
the town
that
would
wrapped
take
up
care
real
of her.
nicely.
I don't know. Part of me is like, I think part of the reason you didn't have as much emotional impact is because, like, Bat was just kind of there.
He's
don't.
just
He was
an
kind of
annoying
annoying
kid.
to me.
Yeah. He's a little bit annoying in this. I hate to say that to Dante Bosco, but that's kind of how he was written.
So, yes, exactly. Like, it served no point to kill him off like that.
I'm trying to think here. I want to give points to the scene with Jackal and Julia in what I can only call Freddy Krueger's basement.
It was like
that
a
was-
boiler room.
That's it. I swear to
Yeah, it
God,
was
that
a
set
boiler
was
room.
from Nightmare on Elm Street. Like the gears and the fire and everything else. I'm just like, this is, you guys were literally on a like Nightmare 6 set, and you were like, hey, we're gonna get a day to shoot here. Yeah, points to them for that scene, because that was pretty cool. It was kind of cool having Julia do something. I was kind of expecting her to be a little more badass than she was, but, you know, she did stick the guy's head in the gear thing that make his head explode, so...
Yeah, she was not a damsel in the source material either.
I didn't think so, and yeah, I really feel like anyone who's, like, surviving long enough in the apocalypse to get to the point where you're in Fist of the North Star, you should be able to fight, or something.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was, is she was a top disciple of the North Star School.
Oh, good thing they didn't establish that in this one, because
Yeah.
then we'd be really questioning it.
Like, that's why she was with Ken all the time.
What was with their romance? Or, like, what... We got, like, one scene where she's just like, you are the future. These are my hands. Your hands are the future. These are seeds.
Here,
These are the
take
future.
some seeds.
And then they make out, and then Shin shows up. It's like, wow, what a whirlwind romance.
Like, did the seeds give him, like, in the final fight, like, did the seeds give him, like, the optimism to fight, or did it actually
No,
physically give him
so-
power?
I think it was
Again,
hope.
this is something you wouldn't really understand unless, like, you read into what was supposed to be going on. So, Shin told him that Julia was already dead. He's supposed to see the plant growing and be like, oh, Julia couldn't have died because I gave her the seeds for that.
Yeah, so it gave him hope, and he then used that hope to beat up Shin.
But, like, during the final fight, like, Shin was beating the shit out of him near death, and he stopped attacking him to just gloat for whatever reason, and then
It's a villain
he saw the plant, the seeds, and then he immediately got the instant strength to
It's the
defeat
power
him
of
for
his
good.
boner envy.
It's the power
I
of
guess-
love. So
I
saith
guess.
Huey Lewis.
I'd rather be watching Back to the Future than this.
Yeah, same. We'll get to it. But yeah, so I don't know. Overall thoughts: yay, nay. Where are we at
Nay.
with this?
I'm just kind of a meh.
I think this, like, again, I watched a lot of, like, action movies that were just on TV as a kid. This feels like one of those movies that I could have just, like, had on in the background while I was just, like,
I'm
playing with my Legos at the age of 6.
No, but I want you to dig into how you actually feel about this movie, because we were talking about this the other day. I'm really curious because I feel like a lot of the times you give things the benefit of the doubt, or you lean a bit more positive
I try to be.
on
I
a
like
lot
liking
of, like,
things.
really bad media.
Here's the thing. I do enjoy bad media because it's funny. Like, sometimes things are just funny. There was a lot of, like, especially, I've mentioned Clint Howard a couple times. He is not by any means doing an Oscar-worthy performance, but I love his performance. It's hilarious. And there's a lot of hilarious things in this. I think I am going to lean kind of positively towards this. I don't know that I would, like, sit down and watch this again, for sure, but I might be like, hey, if you want a quick laugh, pop it in. It's kind of fun.
Like, I don't
It's
think it was
stupid,
funny.
but it's kind of fun.
It wasn't bad enough to be fun. I was just bored.
I just, yeah, I don't think you like action. We will have to show you, like, a decent action movie at some point to
I
gauge
like
yourself
Die
a little
Hard.
better. Well, that's a different kind of
gotta
action
be worth
movie.
something, right?
That is its own thing. That's an action movie of a different subtype. I'm talking like a martial arts action film.
Yeah.
We gotta show
You're
you.
really gonna love Dragon Ball.
I gotta show you Bloodsport. Now that's a good one. Yeah. So, yeah, it's looking like overall this is not a great movie. I don't think anyone expected it to be. Like, part of it is also, like, if I expect something to be good and it's not, I'm more disappointed. I was not expecting this to be any bit good. And then you guys all watch it beforehand, and you're like, this is terrible. And I'm like, oh, so my
I
expectations
didn't say
are
it was
like,
terrible.
Cozy, you basically said it sucked.
Yes, we
So-
were discussing this the other day. I said it was terrible.
Yeah, my expectations were low to begin with, so it's not a high bar to impress me. Like I
Um,
watched Justice
You
League.
did watch it with Yin. How was Yin feeling?
I think they were laughing along to some of the same stuff that I was. I don't think they're gonna watch this again because it's not a great movie. But like, I don't think we had a bad time with it. Like the Whedon cut of Justice League, I went to see that. By no means a good movie, but my standards were at Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, so I had a decent enough time.
I felt the same way about this is a tangent. I felt the same way at the time too, but after seeing the Snyder cut, the Whedon version of Justice League is at the bottom of the DCEU for me.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it is. Crazily enough, Zack Snyder does so much better if you give him like 4 fucking hours. I still haven't watched the Snyder cut. I will have to at some point, but yeah, that's a thing for another day.
Yeah, but I guess I'm kind of a man. I enjoyed, the fighting. I enjoyed some of the effects. I kind of like the Guyver movie 2 weeks ago. It almost made me a little bit curious to maybe go back and watch the source material. I know the original anime is like over 140 episodes, something like that. So
I want to see the sequel. More than anything, it feels like it's going to be more of an action movie than the first one was, and I'm down for that.
Wait, this one has a sequel?
No, this one doesn't have a sequel. This was never going to... I'm talking about the Guyver.
Okay.
Okay.
This was never going to get a sequel.
I'm like, why?
No, it's Guyver Dark Hero. So,
Okay, yes.
yeah, that I want to take a look at some point. Maybe after the tournament or something. We'll see. Speaking of tournament, I feel like do we have any other remarks about this movie? Any other thoughts to share? No? Okay. So let's talk next week. There was a very long time. I don't want to say that this killed any possibilities of an American adaptation of an anime or manga, but there's a 13-year gap between this and the next one. So you take that how you will.
And I guess this one would be technically the first theatrically released American live-action movie.
I think Guyver had a theatrical release. It was small, but I think it had it because it wasn't ever marked as like direct-to-video. The sequel was direct-to-video. But
it's next week Old Boy or Speed Racer?
Speed Racer. 2008 Speed Racer. And the week after that, so Speed Racer, let's talk a little. It's from the Wachowskis. So they made The Matrix and a couple other mostly The Matrix. And
Matrix.
I think, what was that other one? Did they do Cloud Atlas, or am I thinking Jupiter Ascending? That's what I'm thinking of.
Well, they also
Jupiter Ascending was a pretty movie though.
They are great with visuals, usually.
They didn't direct, they produced the V for Vendetta movie.
Yeah, they had their hands on that, and you can kind of see it in some of the fight scenes. But yeah, so they're involved. I know this has...
Cece, what was it you said the other day about what you're expecting out of the Speed Racer movie?
I'm expecting the quality of Herbie Fully Loaded. I'm hoping it is better than that.
Okay. I mean, it's got John Goodman. That's always a positive in my book. There's going to be a
John
monkey.
Goodman was in B movie, and everybody hated that movie.
Yeah, but we like the John Goodman in it. I think we all agree that John Goodman actually, and like the two saving graces of that movie were John Goodman and Patrick Warburton. So, yeah, I'm down for wacky races. I'm down for crazy visuals. I'm down for John Goodman and whoever else. I think there's a monkey. I like monkeys, so yeah.
I'll be completely honest too.
Oh, God.
I'll say this again next week too, but I didn't know that Speed Racer was an anime until a couple years ago. I thought it was just an old school cartoon.
Is he gonna be wearing that stupid ascot?
Oh God, I hope so.
Oh,
God, I hope so. Every problem they have with any sort of like live action Scooby-Doo movie, Fred doesn't wear an ascot. That's why it fails. So, next week, Speed Racer. Week after that, 2009's Dragon Ball Evolution. Then 2013's Old Boy. Then 2014's Edge of Tomorrow. 2017's Ghost in the Shell. 2019's Alita Battle Angel. And then we're going to wrap everything up with talking about everything. So, come back for Speed Racer and everything else. Or you can skip and just, like, let us talk about it. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to watch along, but, like, there's going to be a couple coming up here that's like, oh.
Yeah, or
So, yeah.
don't come along, because we're not having a great time so far.
I'm having a fantastic time. I don't know. You can have your own opinion about that.
You enjoy torturing others. I feel like half of the things
I know.
on the list are specifically bad movies that you want us to suffer for.
No.
Some of those
You know
will be-
what? Hey, we're going to have a conversation outside of the podcast about that particular statement, but I want to say it on the record. No, I am not putting bad movies on there to torture you. I'm putting bad movies on there because they are hilarious.
I am. I'm putting bad movies on there to torture you.
Oh,
We're all
well, there
gonna
you
have
go.
to suffer through Zardoz.
Suffer is such a strange word. Yeah, how do you not want to see Sean Connery in a thong?
I could
I
live
will-
my whole life.
We are leaving it on that note. Everybody, remember, Sean Connery in a red leather thong. See you next
Couldn't
week.
be
Bye-bye.
comfortable. It couldn't be comfortable.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoy this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!